It's like this. A lot of them were already on.
Alright, so like I said, we are going back and recalling what we did previously with simplifying radicals. So to simplify a radical like we did in the past, we had to talk about a number. So for example, if you had the square root of 20, if you had the square root of 20, you had to break it down into its perfect squares. So we had you make your factor trees. And you might have told me 2 and 10. And then you told me 2 and 5. So every time a number repeated, you brought that number out as a whole number. So that became 2. Since I only had one 5, it remained the square root of 5. So we talked about simplifying radical expressions. This became 2 square roots of 5. Everybody remember doing that? Good. So now we're going to take that one step further and we're going to add a variable to it. So we're going to simplify a radical expression that involves variables. So remember, variables are letters that represent numbers, but we don't always know what numbers they represent. So to simplify a radical that involves variables, you are once again using the same technique. We are looking for the factor tree to have more than one of that number. So A times b squared is really the same as a times b times b. So just like in the previous example where we were looking for the number 2 multiple times, I have 2 b's, so I can bring 1 out. Since I only have a single a, it stays underneath. So we are looking for multiple values. There we go. Best way to learn math is to do math. So what we're going to do is follow these steps. We're going to split up the number part and the radicand. So we're going to split up the number and the variables. With the variables only, you're going to look for even or odd numbers. Even numbers will be divided by 2 and come out as that number. Odd means you always have 1 left behind. So even come out nicely, odd do not. So let's look at exactly what we're talking about. So you have the square root of 200, x to the 4th. So step 1, we're going to treat it like 200 times x to the 4th. Is 4 even or odd? Is the number 4 even or odd, Zoe? Even. So our directions say if it is an even number, we divide it by 2. So what is 4 divided by 2? Abby? 2. So the square root of x to the 4th becomes x squared. The square root goes away. Because the square root has an even exponent, the square root goes away. Because that is really like 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So every time you have a group of 2, it comes out as a single. So you take that even number, divide it by 2, and that's what it comes out as. Is there a perfect square that we could divide 200 by? Or 200 is an even number? Abby, what do you think? Divide it by 2. Perfect. So we get 2 times 100. What do we know about the number 100? It is a 100 is a nice, what is it, Madison? I know you know it. What is it? It's even. Good. So 200 is even. It also is a special number. We have a bunch of them. They are 1, 4, 9. What do you call those special numbers, Abby? Perfect squares. Perfect. We have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Anybody know the next one? It is. Next. Quick, without a calculator. Anybody know the next one? Good. 64. So 81, 100, 121. So on and so forth. So 100 is a perfect square. So we know that a perfect square has a nice square root. What is the square root of 100?
Square root. 1,000. You multiply it. 100. You're looking for a perfect square. You know what perfect square makes 100?
One number multiplied by itself twice gives you 100.
Yeah. That's 50. Not 50.
What is it, Zoe? 10. That's okay. So the square root of 100 is 10. So we have 10 x squared. Can I simplify the square root of 2 nicely? No.
1 is a perfect square, but that's not 1.
So this becomes 10 x squared square roots of 2. Are we good? Did everybody get that copied down? Make sure you copy it down. Give yourself some notes if you need to. Even exponents divided by 2. We're looking for perfect squares. Okay. So we're going to think of this almost as 3 separate problems. You're simplifying the square root of 98. You're simplifying a to the 4th and b. So let's start with 98. 98 is what type of number? Abby? Even. Even numbers divide by? All even numbers divide by? Zoe? 2. So 98 divided by 2. What is 49? 49 is a? Logan? perfect square. Perfect. What? It's 7. So the square root of 49 becomes 7. Can you simplify the square root of 2? No. So it's going to stay underneath my radical. So the number part, the square root of 98 became 7 square roots of 2. But now we added variables to the mix. A to the 4th. 4 is what type of number? Even or odd? Even. So what do we do with an even exponent? Divide what? Divide it by 2. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. So the a squared comes out in front. B is kind of like to an invisible power of 1. Is 1 even or odd? So number 1, even or odd? Luke? It's odd. Very good. So, can 1 divide by 2 at all? So the B stays behind with that 2. So the square root of 98, a to the 4th, b, simplifies to 7a squared, square root 2b. Notice there are no decimals in my answer. There are no decimals in my answer. Okay, square root 24 x cubed. 24 x cubed. So again, you want to think of it as a 24 and an x cubed. 24 is what type of number? Even. So we do what? So we get 2 and 12. Is 12 a perfect square? No. Is 12 even? So we can break it down again. What happens when I break it down twice? What repeats? 2. So if I have 2 square roots of 2, they come out as a single square root of 2. 6 breaks down into what two numbers? 3 and 2. So can I simplify those? No. X cubed, is that even or odd? It's odd, so that one's a little trickier. You have to think of it like x times x times x. Do I ever have 2 of them? Yeah, because I have 3. So every time you can make a group of 2, you bring it out as a single. So it's just like the numbers, right? We had a group of 2. I brought it out as a single. So if I have 2 x's, it comes out as 1. I couldn't do anything with the 6 or this extra x. So the 6 and the x stay behind. So I have 2x square root 6x. Is everybody okay with that? You can follow the numbers and your variables. Okay, then I want to pause with you there. We're going to take the next, you're going to turn in your note guides to this page here. And for tomorrow, we're going to do this page 1 to 14. So you have 15 minutes, that's about a minute a problem to get this done. Yes. I just gave you this packet.
You lost it already from today?
Yeah, you're literally turning in the packet I just gave you. It's very similar. Yes, it's very similar.
Yeah, there you go.
Landon, you gave me somewhat of a hard